Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Practice Cursive. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. And start off, just say hello to some new subscribers. Since yesterday, Randy Torres, hello. Thank you for joining us. Tyler Norris, hello. Andy Payfee, hello. Thank you for joining us. If this is your first time watching the stream, my name's Diego Irigoyen, and we're going to practice some cursive today. I was trying to figure out how I could get the Discord to show up in the little window where the handwriting stuff is, but it, for whatever reason, just shows up as a black box. So I can't share that with you guys visually, but I do want to talk a little bit about the Discord. Some new people have joined. TFS Quack, thank you so much for joining the Discord. We've also had Dieyen, who's joined the Discord. Thank you guys for joining. So some of the settings might have been weird on that. I don't think you guys were allowed to post images how I had planned, but I think I fixed it. There's a tab on the left hand side. It says writing samples, and within that you can post either your sessions that you're creating now as we're practicing cursive together, or your sample. TFS Quack yesterday posted a little phrase. This is a specimen of my best penmanship, and he actually posted that phrase in several different languages. He posted it in English, in Spanish, and also in Tagalog. So the plan is to actually rewrite the phrase, because he made it a challenge. He said, well, I'm going to go ahead and read his whole message here. He said, well, the Philippines and Spain have a long connection, so I decided, okay, this isn't relevant. Here we go. Here's the challenge. Try to transcribe this. Its meaning is the same as those of my English and Spanish examples. So I don't think I'm even going to try to pronounce this. Maybe one of these days I can get on the voice chat with TFS Quack, and he can walk me through the pronunciation of how to say this phrase. But I'm going to actually write it out today so you guys can see what it looks like to say, this is a specimen of my best penmanship in Tagalog. I'm going to have to take off my sweater because I can't write with the interference. And this morning I'm going to be using my Diamond 580. I was looking for pens, and I usually write with the Pilot Falcon extra fine if I'm going to be practicing some whole arm movement, because the extra fine point is very practical for penmanship. But this pen actually has an extra fine point as well, and it was already inked up with the ink that we've been using in the other stream. So I figured we'll just go ahead and use this one. It's a little heavier than the ideal, but that doesn't feel too bad. Okay, so let's go ahead and write this phrase. I'm gonna go ahead and lock the focus really quick. Okay. That way it doesn't jump around between my hand and the paper. Okay, we're going to have to do some movement here. A little bit of a slow morning this morning. My cat was begging me to stay in bed. You know how cats do that? Okay, I can see the chat now. So feel free to ask any questions along the way or make any comments. Say hello. It's the morning. Oh no, I forgot to silence my phone. Okay, that's silenced. So it looks like the first word in this Tagalog sample. Hey, good morning, Von D. I'm about to write your sample. I was just talking about it. I'm glad to see you made it today. So Von D is also TFS Quack in the Discord, and he has a challenge for everyone. And it is this sample in Tagalog. And he was saying that the Filipino language is really ideal for mastering your slant because the words are so long. So we're going to have to put that to the test, but I can already see that some of these words are pretty long. Looks like 12 letters right there. Another 11 in that one. Or 10. Okay. Let's go ahead and give it a try. Nope. Still not happy with that I. Isang. Ejemplo. It sounds like Spanish a little bit. I've heard that from other people as well, that Filipino or Tagalog can kind of sound like Spanish, or that they have a lot in common. Oh, it looks like... Is that NG a part of ejemplo? Vondi? You have an NG here on the next line. That is a long word. Pinaka mahuse. Pinaka mahuse. Did I say that right? Pinaka mahuse. Yeah, who knows? Okay, I feel a little more warmed up now. I feel like I should write it again. Alright, let's do it once more. AAAMR. Hi Diego, can you join I and an A? So close, like Spanish. All vowels sound the same. A is always ah. Oh, okay. So this one right here would be USA. The mahausa. Yeah, we can go ahead and connect an I to an A. So a capital I, are you saying? Or a lowercase? You have the I capitalized in quotation marks. Isang? Is that right? Capital I to A. So typically, I know I've done it here, I often don't even connect my capitals to my incoming letters. I like to have them standing alone. But a capital I to an A would look something like that. Having a hard time with an A this morning. Oh, that's a better example. So tell me, Vondi, is that ng on the next line from ejemplo, is that just a word by itself? Okay. How do you pronounce that? Can you type out in kind of phonetic how you would pronounce that ng? Wow, that is a very long word. Did I spell it right? Also, is this supposed to be an I? You didn't dot it in your sample, so I can't tell. Let's write it again. Okay, that's a fun challenge. I'm from Spain, but I don't know how to speak English very well yet. So I don't understand all the words you say. Sorry. That's quite alright. I wish I could speak Spanish better for you. Yep, forget the dot I sometimes. Okay, well, at least I got it right that it was an I. Okay, that's fun. So if you guys want to go over to the Discord channel and join in that fun, you guys can see some of the other samples that Vondi has provided. And you guys are free as well to add your samples in. So if you're doing any sort of practice along with me during these sessions, please feel free to post images of that at the end of the session, and then we can kind of like catalog everyone's progress in some way or another. So, and I just think it'd be fun to see your guys' samples as well. So feel free to do that. Today is Wednesday, and so on Monday I talked about doing a series investigating whole arm movement with the left hand, and I thought it'd be nice to devote a few days a week to that. So I'm thinking Monday, Wednesday, Friday are going to be left-handed penmanship days. And so for the rest of this session here, I'm going to experiment with how to write with the left hand. And I also wanted to look into how to do it with a fountain pen. So we had in the general discussion, Scrambled Milk was talking about having a hard time using the fountain pen. He says he also has to turn his fountain pen more toward the left when practicing anti-clockwise circles. If not, the nib loses contact with the paper when pushing it up to complete the circle. Okay, so that he's having a little bit of trouble keeping a consistent ink flow, whether due to contact with the paper or twisting of the nib. So we're just going to experiment with some of the warm-ups that we did the other day. And we're going to be doing that all with the left hand using this TWSBI Diamond 580. Great pen. The link should be in the description if you're interested in it. It's one of my favorite pens. just as a testament to how good this pen is. It has been sitting in my pen holder for, at this point, it's been quite a while. So, and it has not, well, there was ink in it. I didn't just ink it, and I went to write with it, and it wrote flawlessly. So, I was really happy to see that. Pen is really good. It's been just sitting there for several months, I want to say, and if there was any ink evaporated, I wouldn't be able to tell. I mean, it sits here in the studio, and the studio stays pretty dark when I'm not in here. And then, the nib just wrote perfectly on the first go. So I was really impressed with that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and just do a little warm-up with the left hand here, and then I'd like to jump into some handwriting of words today with the left hand. But we're going to see if we can try to recreate the problem that Scrambled Milk mentioned in his comment, which is the loss of contact with paper. So when he's doing the anti-clockwise or the counterclockwise circles, which I think is the more challenging circle combination. So I usually write left-handed backwards, and that allows me to mirror my form with the right hand. So it is, it's rather different to push across the page and write forward because I'm not writing backwards with my right hand. So it's quite a challenge, and there aren't very many resources, as a lot of left-handers have told me, on left-handed handwriting. Hello, Sukma. I've just joined the Discord, and I'll try to post what I write today. Awesome. Thank you so much, Sukma, for joining. We appreciate you, and I'm excited to see your samples later. So we're going to jump into some left-handed handwriting. So yesterday we did all our drills with a pencil, and if you are new to whole arm movement, I highly recommend working with a pencil, because a pencil is going to allow for greater friction between the page and your writing utensil, and that greater friction offers a little bit more support and a little bit more control when you're starting off. So the pencil is a great way to start off with your whole arm practice, and as you progress, you can move into using things like a fountain pen, or even a ballpoint pen works really well. I used a ballpoint pen for a very long time. I also used a gel pen for a long time, just the Pilot G2 gel pen. Actually, I've been writing for about 7 years, so I would say at least 5 of those years were done with ballpoints and gel pens. I didn't even know that people were writing with fountain pens till, how did I come across it? Oh, I think one of my mentors was showing me the Schaefer pen that he had got at a art store. And so I went and bought one, and I didn't take very good care of it, so within within maybe a month, the pen was dead. It was clogged so poorly with ink that I couldn't use it at all. I had no idea how to clean it or anything. Tried running it under the sink. Nothing worked. So I just threw that thing away. And then I think sometime after that I was interested in getting another one, but I did not want to buy the Schaefer pen. And so I decided to do some research online, and I fell into that rabbit hole of fountain pens. Von D says, whenever I see you write with your left hand, I think of Death Note. I'll write equations with my right hand and write names with my left. I'll take a potato chip and eat it. I'm not familiar with Death Note. I'm assuming that's a quote from the film. But that's quite interesting, right? Equations with my right hand. Oh, that's funny. Okay. Maybe I'll have to watch this film, I'm assuming, is a movie. Death Note. So writing with my left hand teaches me a lot of patience too, because obviously here it's not the most impressive quality in the world. I mean, compared to my right hand, you can see there's a lot more control present in the right hand. The left hand is rather poor in comparison. So it teaches me to have a lot of patience with my own progress, and it also makes me very humble about my handwriting. Okay, so let's do some anti-clockwise circles, which are the ones that Scrambled Milk was having trouble with. So it could be also that these anti-clockwise circles are giving you trouble because of the pen. So I did notice here early on that compared to what I might have expected, so a nib that looks something like that, I didn't actually get any action out of the pen. So I had to turn it more to the left. And so when this kind of thing happens, because I'm trying to retrain myself now to do something a little bit different, I try to position the pen, so rather than twisting my hand in order to get the pen to stay at that angle that actually gives me ink, I try to twist the pen and keep my grip the same. So I'll hold the pen and I'll move the pen's angle here and keep my grip the same, so none of that has to change in order to change the angle of the pen. Bondi says, what? No, the anime. Stay away from the Netflix film, or don't. You'll be more open to it without the prior knowledge and bias. Okay, I probably won't watch it. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. And then Sukma says, patience. I wish I could buy that. Yeah, patience is, they say it's a virtue. I think that's how the phrase goes. Patience is a virtue. But I'm not, I don't know. I've always been a very patient person. So I'm blessed in some ways. Actually, that's very useful. When I was teaching handwriting in the prison, patience was my best friend, because some of these guys, some of them didn't even know how to write. So teaching some of them cursive handwriting, you can imagine the amount of patience you might need to have with somebody who doesn't even know how to write or spell or any of that. So yeah, I am a very patient person. Although, like anyone else, I would like to improve more quickly at things. Oh, that's a good one. Good in comparison, right? Oh, see, we're getting better. That's something that I always like to see within handwriting sessions is, slight improvements. Okay. So the push-pull exercise is one that I'm still trying to discover which movement is most ideal. Whether or not it's swiping of the arm. In order to do that, the page would be angled way more steeply. So at this angle, I'm trying to keep the angle that was shown in Michael Soule's handwriting. And I actually posted a PDF with a few pages from that book in the Discord if you're interested. But there's corner to corner, and then that aims with the center of your chest. So my angle is a little too close here to show you the entirety of it. But this corner here is more or less aligned with the opposite corner diagonally, and then that line goes straight into my chest, and then it'll turn with my body. So if I'm angling my body more, it would look something like this. I'm trying to keep a more direct approach to the table, so more or less my angle. But that kind of forces me to move the arm, and it's a push-pull that's a little different than what I'm used to with the right hand, so it doesn't feel extremely natural. But I guess whole arm movement in general did not feel natural when I first started. Patience is my best friend. Well, Diane, I wish you would tell me the trick to befriend it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm the best person for giving advice on how to befriend people. Sometimes I let my sarcasm get the best of me. Something I've noticed in the one reference that I have for whole arm writing, which is the video of Marbis, I talk about it in that long left-handed penmanship video in the practical penmanship series, but he holds the pen much higher, and this higher grip kind of changes some things when it comes to the movement. It begins to feel a little more natural if I hold the pen a little higher. Here are these counterclockwise circles. Oh, not too bad. Okay, we're going to jump into writing some words. In the Palmer Method book, the first words that he recommends to write are mine, uses, and sell. Okay. So let's keep working on those 3 words. And so the movement cam. Okay. Yeah, the movement cam should be showing you a little bit about the movement of this. So hopefully, for those of you who are interested in the left-handed forward writing and using whole arm movement, you can look at that camera and see if your movement matches up, or if it's helpful at all. And if it is, let me know, and if it isn't, also let me know, so maybe I could potentially improve the angle of that secondary camera so that you can see more of what's going on with the arm. That S is an extremely challenging letter. There's something about the belly of the S that just feels so difficult to hit, especially with whole arm movement. We gotta actually get the loops of the E's in there. Sometimes upping the scale of your writing as well helps with the control. happy with this S right here. This S came out surprisingly nice. And I could feel it too at the top. There's a little bit of a loop in the motion that comes back down into the belly and makes it feel really natural. It says, how do you highlight / mention someone? Kinda new in this live YouTube business. I have no idea. I'm not entirely sure what you mean, highlight. Let's see. By the way, I have a confession to make. Over my less than a month practice, I always seem to forget to do the strokes drill. Oh, you're talking about this one here? Yeah, the push-pull drill is one of my favorite ones. And just want to write until you get bored. Do you encourage continuing my drill? Or just writing is fine too? I think writing is fine. I don't think you have to go completely bonkers on doing drills. And in the end too, it depends ultimately what you want. From a practical standpoint, I think it's perfectly fine to jump into just practicing on your handwriting and understanding more and more how those movements will begin to apply to the actual writing of letters, because there aren't that many movements that are actually going on in the letters, and by only having these 3 drills, it kind of breaks it down. Capitals are a little bit different, but especially for the lowercase letters, it doesn't matter too much. I enjoy doing the drills. I see them as an exercise and kind of a little bit of a meditation. Find them very relaxing, and it's also a way for me to warm up my arm, so I don't always feel as if I'm ready to write right away if I'm going to be doing anything of like higher quality, or if I want something to look especially nice. Maybe I'm writing a letter to somebody who I'd like to impress with the writing, then I definitely would do some drills just to warm up. Usually I'll do 2 drills. I'll just do 2 before I write. I'll do one kind of big clockwise or counterclockwise circle. And then I'll do one big counterclockwise. And then in between those, I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I might do a figure 8 here in between these. And then that's it. I'll get into writing. That's usually enough for my right hand to get warmed up, and then I can go on and just write. So you can keep it really simple with your warm-up. I actually haven't read the E.C. Mills book. I just downloaded the PDF recently because so many people talk about it, but I haven't read it myself. I mean, the plates in there are extremely impressive. Yeah, and I wonder too if maybe I'll get around to it. I'm sure I will, but I am often thinking of the practical end of things, and also how can I help best the writing community. And I feel that the left-handed writing is something that I need to really kind of buckle down and hone in to a greater degree, because there isn't that much information on how to write with your left hand. So it's that's kind of where my mind is. So, but I've seen that book. That book is quite good. So yeah, if your writing is meant for a practical end, I wouldn't say practice drills forever. But if you want to have that really pristine business hand, and I was talking with Perfect Biscuits about the other day, he really wants complete control over his arm, and so that every time he goes to write a letter, it comes out perfect. So if that's your desire, then maybe you do need to practice drills often. So you just gotta have to decide ultimately what it is you want in the end from your penmanship practice. So yeah, I am noticing scrambled milk. If you're watching this in the playback, or if you're here live, I'm not sure. I am having to angle my pen quite dramatically towards the left, even more drastically than I would have imagined. But that is where I'm getting the smoothest line out of the pen. That was a horrible example there, but yeah, must have something to do with the contact. So what I'd recommend is if you're holding the pen like this and you're having trouble, now I'm not having trouble getting lines. But anyways, if you're having trouble getting lines and you need to tilt your pen more to the left, rather than tilting your arm, just rotate the pen in the grip that you have. And that way you can you can maintain your form. Shazan, hello from India. I have a question for you with translucent paper you used in some practical penmanship and Let's Practice Cursive videos. Oh yes, I know what paper you're talking about. I don't know where that paper came from, actually. My dad is an architect, and those are some of the supplies that are left over from his drafting days. So, yeah, I have no idea where it came from. I could ask him. I think that the type of paper, though, was a type of vellum. So, I'll have to double check, and I wouldn't take my word for that. But it was very interesting paper, I agree. It was somewhat translucent, and then the lines on one side of the paper rejected the ink so that you could see the lines through your writing at the end. So I know I get some questions about that paper, but I honestly don't know where to get more. So I have some left, but I don't use it often because, like I said, I don't know where to get more. And I like the paper, so I'm kind of hoarding it. But I've been going through a lot of paper recently, so I may have to tap into that stash sooner or later. Another thing that I have to do often is readjust my posture because I tend to somewhat forget about my posture. I think it's the easiest thing for you to slip up on as you're writing. So CJ Roundhand. I'm not even familiar at all with that name, CJ Roundhand. If you post an image of it in the Discord, or if you leave a link in to the Reddit post or something, I'll take a look at it. But personally, I love business penmanship. There's no other style of handwriting that I have seen so far that, aside from some types of engrosser script and broad edge, that I find, wow, those are some really gorgeous styles of writing. And I do like to practice a little bit of German text, although I don't do it publicly too much. But I really do love business penmanship. The aesthetic, the whole thing, the movement, the whole package of business penmanship is just so attractive to me. Touching up with the left hand is so hard. So Sukma, you said you're mastering your own font. Is that are you taking me up on my exemplar advice? Did you create your own font? If so, we would love to see it in the Discord. If you can post an image in the writing sample section. I'm considering about doing another video, perhaps tomorrow, on how to go about creating a master exemplar for your own fonts. So that's cool to see. I love German on a penmanship standpoint because it naturally uses capitals. I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that. Oh, look at that. Can you even tell that that's a U? Horrible. Let's see if we can fix it. Okay, so right here, my hand lifted. I don't know if that's something that you're having trouble with, scrambled milk. If that's where, your hand is lifting. I do recall you saying something about lifting off the page, moving upward. So in that regard, you just have to pay a little closer attention to your movement. I was moving faster here than normal, so that's why I lifted there. Sukma. Yep, not really a new invention. Just the same as the other cursive, but after going through a lot of people's styles, I picked some letters that I like and try it in my own way. That's easy for me. That's excellent. Yeah, you're totally entitled to do that. Fondue. By that I mean capitals are also used for nouns regardless of its placement in the sentence. Ah, I see. Okay, that makes sense. Really, I didn't know that. How interesting. Now, is that in, are you talking about the German text style? Or are you talking about just in the German writing culture that they capitalize letters wherever they like? Let's get back to center here. I think it's part of the writing rules. Okay. So, in modern, you're saying like today's writing rules, they handwrite, and they're allowed to put capitals anywhere within the sentence that they would like. Is that correct? Just nouns and proper nouns. Okay. Seems hard to write German. I got bad grades in writing formal reports just because I forgot to write capital letters. And it's only for the first letter of a sentence, names, places, etc. Not like German. Shazan asks, which fountain pen do you like most? By the way, mine is Pilot Metropolitan because it's my first fountain pen. Love your videos and your beautiful writing. Thanks, Shazan. My favorite fountain pen is the Lamy 2000. I believe the Lamy 2000 was maybe my third fountain pen that I purchased, but it is phenomenal. I've had so many good experiences. I'm just going to turn the autofocus back on here. But yeah, no, I can't get it to focus. We'll keep it on manual and just do it on our own. So yeah, the Lamy 2000, beautiful design. When I first saw it, I was just stunned by it. I was like, that's a fountain pen? I still didn't know much about the whole culture of fountain pens. And so I had to have it. And then from there, I went on purchasing a bunch of pens, and then I realized I didn't need any of them. I only needed this one. Writes extremely smoothly, has a great capacity for ink, has a very stylized ink window. Wonderful to the touch, superb design. I mean, I could go on and on about it. But yes, that's my favorite. But I do like many other fountain pens. That's just the one that I keep inked up all the time. And if I'm going anywhere and I need a pen, that's the one I take. Okay, so now with the left hand, I'm going to go through all these writing specimens that TFS Quack had, or Von D, I should say, Von D, put in the Discord. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with the English version. So I'm adding in the phrase left-handed. Sukma says he wants to buy some Chinese pens. Can't think of the ones that I have. Have you ever tried Chinese fountain pens? They have metal ones for $5. I'm still salty about the converter breaking on mine. You know, I'm not entirely sure if I've actually tried. Trying to think of my pens. Maybe tomorrow we'll do a session where I pull out the fountain pens and we can look through them. I've gotten rid of some, but I think I still have like maybe 10 or so. I can't think of them all off the top of my head. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to say anything more. Which number of Rhodia pad? I am using, I believe this is the A4 size. Doesn't have a number on here. 5x5, I'm assuming 5x5 millimeters. Oh, here we go. Number 18. It's a number 18 pad. So this is a specimen of my left-handed. All right, fountain pen lineup. Gonna look forward to it. Yeah, we'll do one tomorrow morning. Oh, I have wanted to try a Jinhao. Yeah, now that you say that name, I have. See, last year I made a vow, because I bought way too many fountain pens the very first year I got into them in 2017, that I would not buy any pens in 2018. I would not buy them. Sukma, the link is in the description. I can't recall how much the paper pad is. So I got it on Amazon though. So the link is in the description. Those are all affiliate links to Amazon in the description. So if you purchase through that, I get like 2 cents. Jinhao. Yeah, I wanted to try a Jinhao pen. But yeah, like I said, I haven't bought any pens in all of 2018. And I just made it to 2019. And I figured that from this point on, I would allot myself 1 pen for the year. So I'm still kind of deciding which one I wanted, but I was eyeing the Opus 88, really popular fountain pen. I've seen a lot of people with it, but I want that one. That one's such a gorgeous pen. But funds have been low, so I was like, I don't need a pen, so let's not spend money on a pen. You gotta be careful with fountain pens. They can just swallow your life. Okay, we're going to finish writing this. This is a specimen of my left-handed business handwriting. Yep, rotate the pen. Buyer's remorse. So you've heard people experiencing buyer's remorse after comparing Chinese pens that rival more well-known brands. How do you write numbers? I actually have not spent any extensive time on numbers, but what we'll do for numbers is we can schedule it in. Maybe next week we can do a session focused on numbers, and I'll pull out the Palmer Method handbook, and he has a great example for numbers, and I do believe they more or less follow the whole arm movement system. So The numbers that I've learned to write are all kind of copper plate based numbers, because I've done a couple weddings, and for those I just write. A lot of people like the copper plate style for weddings. So, but the numbers there look something like this. They're just kind of fancier. This isn't how I normally write numbers. But if I wanted them to look nice, I would do something like this, more or less. They might have been out of frame, but those are the numbers I just wrote. Sonu Shafi. Hello, Sonu. Can we use muscular movement while writing in a standing position, like holding a notepad? It's not recommended. For muscular movement, you need a point of stabilization that your forearm muscle is going to roll around on. So if we look here at the movement cam, let me try to show you my arm entirely. But usually when you're doing a whole arm movement, your arm is resting here on your forearm's muscle. And so you need that point of leverage to write. So what you can do, and what I've done, is you can incorporate some whole arm movement into your writing while standing, but you're not going to be able to do it using, well, you can, but it's probably not going to come out super neat, especially if you're just starting off with whole arm movement. But what I've done in the past is, if I'm sitting on the couch and I don't have a table in front of me, I've braced my elbow against my hip bone or my rib cage, and in that way it kind of offers some of the similar, it's almost like a resistance that the table is offering as well as support. So by bracing against the side of my body, I can kind of use whole arm movement, but oftentimes I will use more of a combination movement, so I'll have some finger motion and wrist motion as well. But I was talking about this in one of the earlier streams. Usually if I'm writing in a notebook, because the notebook is thicker and off the table, I'll just go ahead and write with finger movement. And so with finger movement, you can still get quite nice writing. There's nothing wrong with using a little bit of finger movement in your writing. But yeah, usually I'll use a little bit of finger movement and whole arm movement and wrist movement all together. So, okay, I'm going to finish up these samples. And then we just hit the hour mark. So we're gonna be closing out shortly. But I want to get through these samples with my left hand so I can complete the session. So now we'll write this exact same phrase here. This is a specimen of my left-handed business handwriting. But now we're going to write it in Spanish, courtesy of Von D. I'm just going to write exactly what you wrote. Gotta rotate the pen. Would it be... Sorry, we got comments here. Thank you so much for answering your question. I'm studying F.W. Tamblin's book. Any particular advice? I love your videos, sir. You are an inspiration. Thank you so much for saying that. That's very kind of you. I'm not familiar with that book, so I can't give you any particular advice. But if you have a PDF of that book, I would like to invite you to drop that as a resource in our Discord channel, because I would love to check that book out. Which ink is your favorite? Mine is Waterman Mysterious Blue, because it can be written on any paper. Hey, that's one of my favorite inks for the exact same reason. I actually love all of the Waterman inks. I just ran out of my Mystery Blue recently, and so I decided instead of buying another Mystery Blue, I would get the black. So I bought their Jet Black. But all of the Waterman inks, I think, they're all the same formula, so they all perform exceptionally well on all types of paper. Von D, I have a question for you. I'm gonna dot my I, calligrafía. Would it be con la mano izquierda or con el mano? You know, because now I'm getting confused with izquierda is feminine, mano is masculine. What preposition do I use? El or la? Don't know. So maybe I'll put a slash for time's sake. La mano. There we go. He got it. Thank you so much, AAMR. And then, perfect. And you spelled izquierda for me. That was my next question. I had no idea how to spell izquierda. That's a pretty ugly Z, but the whole point of this is to look back on and see how we grow later. Yeah, full confession, my first language is actually Spanish, but growing up here in the States and then going to school with American English-speaking kids my whole life, and then the other thing is my parents didn't speak to me in Spanish. I only spoke Spanish with the lady that took care of me as a child. And so I didn't keep it up. So now I speak broken Spanish. And I'm horrible at writing because I never learned to write. I only learned to speak it. Okay, so now we have it in Spanish. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to write it again in Tagalog, courtesy of Vondi. Can't believe it's been an hour. I know, time is flying by. It's actually been an hour and 6 minutes now. Thank you, Lupus. All right, not too bad for the left hand. So there we have it. This is a specimen of my business handwriting in 3 different languages. At least it's not Japanese or Chinese you're writing. It can be a disaster for some people. I've been really curious in learning either of those languages, at least the written form, because they write from right to left. And in college I took Arabic because it also writes from right to left across the page. And I just think that's really interesting. And also they say that when you write from the right side of the page to the left side of the page, you're activating more of the right hemisphere, also in reading it as well. So you're tapping more into the visual centers of your brain in order to decipher the language. And if you look at the script, and if we look at the 2 brains also, the left brain is very rational and logical. The right brain is very visual and spatial. And that's where they say creative or creativity lies, and the left brain is more logic bound. So you look at the style of script, and it seems to be more artistic on its own. It just inherently has more of this creative quality or pictorial quality about it, and you see that in Japanese script and Chinese script as well as in Arabic. So I think that's just a really interesting correlation that you could do a lot of investigating on. We have a new subscriber, Anna Esmeralda. Thank you so much for subscribing. We appreciate you. Okay, so that has been an hour and 11 minutes. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Thank you guys for participating in the chat channel. I work on the computer most of the day, so the Discord is open. If I'm idle for whatever reason, it's probably because the program's just closed and I'm doing some video editing or something. So if I see your message in there, I'll get back to you when I can. Otherwise, feel free to discuss amongst yourselves. Add images of your writing session in the writing samples section. And if you have any resources, please add them to the handwriting resources. If you're having any trouble posting something, just go ahead and message me directly on there. I think you can do that by right-clicking on me, or you can mention me. That's what you can do. So you can do @dieyen in the Discord, and it'll let me know that you are saying something to me. And that way I can check out the settings and make sure that everyone has the permissions to post as intended. So, other than that, thank you guys again so much for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow morning at the writing desk. Take care, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.